What is good, everybody? Man, it's your boy Jay in the building. We're back again with another video, man. Now, before we get this video started, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel. All right, man. Hold up, man. Deion Sanders versus Asante Samuel isn't something that I saw coming, but I love it because as a former, as a person who played cornerback, it's almost like intriguing to see whose technique was better. Like for them to argue whose technique was better, I think it's funny. And for Asante Samuel to come out and say that his numbers is comparable with Deion, so that puts him up there with Deion in terms of who he is as a cornerback. Listen, I think it's all good for content or whatever. So before I even discuss their careers or whatever, I do want to show y'all the difference in what Coach Prime and Asante Samuel talked about when they teach them how to break or whatever. So I'm pretty sure how Coach Prime teaches, right? So I'm just showing y'all. I ain't worn these things in a minute, right? So how Coach Prime teaches to backpedal or how to break from your back pedal is break like this, and then you're only gonna use like these part of your cleats or whatever, right? What Asante Samuels is referring to in terms of the T-step is you're breaking, and then you're doing this. So you're backpedaling and then you're breaking like this. Backpedaling and you're breaking like this. So the purpose of the T-step is to use all cleats at the bottom to help you break out of your break faster. So I understand both sides of it because, listen, Coach Prime is from the old school. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he has his ways of teaching. But listen, I think if you have quick feet, both ways could be effective, to be honest with you. Listen, I used the T-step when I was in school. I was doing it the way Coach Prime teaches it when I was in high school. When I got to college, I was taught the T-step. So listen, I think both work, to be honest with you. Listen, and Coach Prime is a Hall of Fame cornerback. He is the best to ever do it. So who am I to argue? I'm not arguing which technique works better. But listen, to get to their careers, right? Now, this is the part, because to be like cornerback, right? Cornerback is one of the few positions where the numbers, like the interceptions, the pass breakups, like cornerback alone, sometimes the numbers don't always tell the story. Like the pass deflections and the interceptions, they don't always tell the story. And Deion and Asante were two completely different cornerbacks. Like Deion, Coach Prime, he was a guy who was man-to-man in your face. He guarded the best receiver all game, from Jerry Rice to Randy Moss to whoever was the number one receiver on that team. He went after him all game, man coverage, and followed him too. And he was faster than everybody on the team. So, and listen, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. And mind you, like less than 10 cornerbacks in the 100 years of the NFL, less than 10 cornerbacks won Defensive Player of the Year. Like, that's how elite you have to be as a cornerback to win Defensive Player of the Year. And the numbers ain't going to always reflect how good you were that year. Like, Pat Surtain won it just last season. He only had 4 interceptions and returned one for a touchdown. He only had 4 interceptions, and he had less than 50 tackles. But what made him so deserving of the award was how elite he was against number one receivers. The same way with Stephon Gilmore when he won it. The same way, not not it wasn't like that with Charles Woodson, because Charles Woodson, it showed in the numbers. He was absolutely dominant, from the interceptions to the forced fumbles to the fumble recoveries, and the amount of tackles he had. Like, Charles Woodson was a different monster that year, and I think that was the same year they won the Super Bowl with the Packers. Ron Woodson as well. I think Mel Blount too. So it's less than 10 cornerbacks in the history of the NFL that won Defensive Player of the Year. Now back to Deion Sanders and Asante. Now, speaking of Asante was an off-man cornerback. He played off-man the majority of the time. He played on the same side. He played within the defense or whatever, right? So, but he was so technically sound, and he was a risk taker. He was a risk taker, and I think I heard him speak about one time where he will only watch. He will watch film only for a few seconds or for a few minutes, just to look at the receivers he'll play up against and how they ran their routes and when to break, when not to break. Now, corners like that, if you hit them with a double move, you'll get them almost every time. Now, prime example, you talking about a Trayvon Diggs, right? Y'all remember Trayvon Diggs when he had that 11 interception season where he was first team All-Pro, whatever, and it showed that he was probably the best cornerback in that year. Now, in that same season, he gave up the most yardage between any cornerback in the league, right? And not only that, he gave up the most yardage as a cornerback within the last 3 seasons. But that year, the 11 interception season, he also gave up the most yardage. So with risk takers like that, you always have to give them a double move to keep them honest, because they will jump it if you ain't careful, right? So what I mean, how the numbers don't always reflect how good a person was, let's compare Asante Samuel to Darrelle Revis, right? Darrelle Revis, to me, is the second best cornerback that I've ever seen. Darrelle Revis was a All-Pro 4 or 5 times, always in the Pro Bowl. I think he was in an All-Decade team, but he had less than 30 interceptions. Matter of fact, if I want to dig into his stats for a little bit, right? So he was first team All-Pro 4 times, and two of those seasons, he didn't even have an interception. Two of those years where he got first team All-Pro, he didn't even have an interception. But it's how you make the other receivers that you're facing look at the time that you're facing them. Because as a cornerback, it's not always causing a turnover. It's about the production that the receiver has in front of you when you're facing them. So Revis had 3 seasons in which he had 5 interceptions or more. And that didn't always translate into an All-Pro year. Now, he does have 7 Pro Bowls. So, and with Asante, he has at least 5 or 6 seasons in which he has 5 or more. Like, look at this, right? In 2006, he had 10 interceptions and didn't even make an All-Pro team. Man had 10 interceptions with 10 interceptions and 24 pass breakups and didn't even go to a Pro Bowl that year. But then the following year, he had less interceptions and the less pass breakups and was a first-team All-Pro. So the numbers, I don't, listen, you would have to really actually watch what they're doing in order for you to know whether a cornerback deserves to be in the Pro Bowl or an All-Pro or not. Now, another guy that I want to get to where we're talking about like the numbers don't reflect how good a person was or wasn't, Nnamdi. And now, I'm talking about the Nnamdi that played in Oakland for the majority of his career, right? So, if y'all look at his career statistics, he only had 15 interceptions in his entire career. That he played 11 years and only had 15 interceptions. And two of the seasons in which he had in All-Pro year, he only had one interception in those first 2 years. Matter of fact, all of his Pro Bowl years, he had one or less interceptions. One interception or less. So he only had one season in which he had 5 or more interceptions, and that was 8, and that was his 4th year in the league. And he had 3 seasons in which he had at least 10 pass deflections. Only 3. Now, his career changed when he got to Philly because he definitely was not the same player because he played in a totally different system. Like, when he was in Oakland, he really wasn't he traveled somewhat here and there, but they really didn't try him like that. When he got to Philly, that's when people started trying him, and he started to play more man coverage, and he got exposed a lot. I don't know if y'all watched Nnamdi when he was in Philly for them 2 years he was there, but he definitely was not the same player. So listen. I'm gonna say this. I think Asante Samuel was a really good cornerback when he played. I think Coach Prime is the best to ever do it. So, but what I'll say is this. You can't tell somebody how to feel or how to take when they feel like they're being disrespected. And for Shannon Sharpe to say what he said, and then for Shannon Sharpe to get so appalled when Asante Samuel's response to him, I think that's a little hypocritical. Like, you can't tell somebody how to respond to something that you say about them. Like, you can't tell a competitor how you feel that they should be placed at if that's not how they feel about themselves. So I don't get what Shannon Sharpe was trying to feel or what he was trying to do, but Shannon Sharpe shouldn't have felt no type of way after what Asante Samuel had to say in response to him. But if we're talking about top 10 corners all time, me personally, I don't have him there. Of course, I got Primetime. I got Revis. I got Champ Bailey. I got Mel Blount. I got Ronnie Lott. I got Charles Woodson. Got Rod Woodson. I'll probably put Ty Law. I think I got Ty Law in there. I probably got Ronnie Barber, but I don't know for sure. But in around the 9 and 10, it does get a little tough to like, if I think hard enough, Asante might be 11. Dale Green for sure. But yeah, like it's tough. It's tough, but I don't know. Now, other corners that I also consider when it comes to being in the top 10. Now, I do respect Night Train Lane because I wasn't alive when he was playing, but I do understand his greatness, and I look back and watch. That dude was a tough cookie. He was tough, but I love seeing guys like Jalen Ramsey and Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison when he played, and Patrick Peterson. I think he's one of the best to ever do it too. So, listen, for me personally, like, to be one of them ones, like, as a cornerback, you gotta be willing to play the best man in front of you. Because, and listen, cornerback is hard. Like, you have to mirror everything that a receiver does going backwards. So it's a completely tough position to play, and I think any cornerback that plays in the league should be getting paid just as much as what a receiver makes, because that's a tough job. It's very tough. So listen, I do like Asante Samuel, and I like Deion. I like them both, but listen, I wouldn't put Asante Samuel in my top 10, regardless of the interceptions, regardless. But hey, man, he got a right to feel how you feel, but I like the competition.